certainly has also picked up the Akali. So maybe we'll get a more interesting mid matchup in this one.
Yeah, Chaz actually been really impressive for me. Played great early on in the first stage of the tournament to, help the team qualify for the Rumble stage, something that had never happened before for Oceania. And definitely, this is a game PGG, despite, being out, despite having a lot of fun so far throughout the tournament, they are going to be looking to, take it seriously because, as we've heard from them, not a whole lot of opportunities for practice. So you might as well take the best practice of your life very seriously here on stage, as Varus, Thresh, Senna, and Lee Sin all going to get banned away.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right, is they can use this opportunity to look towards Worlds and improve there. But, we're seeing pretty standard bans coming back into this game. The thing I want to see is, we're seeing teams shy away from the Rumble priority. We're seeing them shy away from even the Morgana in some instances and going straight towards the Udyr. Now with PGG banning out the Morgana, I wonder, are we going to see Pablo go back towards that Rumble? He has picked it up 3 times so far.
We'll see. Last ban here for PSG, of course, could take that off the table, but it is Biopanther's Urgot they are more afraid of here. So Rumble or Udyr, that really feels like the choice you're making here. And time again, it has been Udyr. That's the answer.
Yeah, and, I think this is good for the side of PGG. I think they've looked better when Pabu has agency in the jungle role. But when we talk about Rumble, I'd love to see River pick it up because I think the 2 best Rumble players at this tournament have been Wei and River. They've been the 2 junglers who look the most confident on this champion and most able to, I'd say, push it to its maximum efficiency. We also could always see the Volibear. That's obviously been popping up more as another answer into the Udyr. He's saying you can gank early on. You have a lot of strong early skirmishing power as well. And obviously you're a lot more efficient in terms of being able to buy cheaper items because you're a frontliner.
All right, well, Renekton, the first pick there, something he's getting through a little bit more today, but Hanabi will be happy with that. Could be a Maple pick, but unlike the last game, not something we're expecting as much. So I think Biopanther probably expecting to line up here against the Renekton. Can be tricky, but certainly can get an edge if you can keep Renekton at arm's length. And straight to Xayah here for Praedyth, who's played quite a few different ADs so far, but Xayah has been surprisingly popular for AD choice. I think, Kai'Sa, Trist, and Xayah have kind of made up the top 3 there. It looks like PSG gonna get Rumble all the way down here in 3rd pick, which makes sense because they knew they were basically trading Udyr for this pick when the draft started.
Yeah, and if they do decide to lock this in, right, we're going to come to a battle of bans coming out for the supports because, of course, we have kind of seen, I'd say, 2 premier supports, mostly being the Leona and Nautilus because Thresh is always banned, and then Alistar kind of being that cheap 3rd option. So I would expect potentially both of those to even get banned out by opposing teams. And then if we get into the dredges of support champion pools, I wonder what we're going to see because we have been seeing Rakan come out. Actually, now PSG got one off the table.
All right, we'll have to feel like Silas actually going to get banned away here. So Chaz getting himself set up here for this mid lane matchup. Looks like they aren't going to be banning any more supports. Again, makes sense. Not that many to choose from, right? We saw Tom Cantrip Decoy yesterday in their win against Cloud9. That looks pretty good, but doesn't maybe pair particularly well with this Xayah. Leona's felt like a premier support. Nautilus has definitely been the go-to support. Alistar had a lot of moments in the early stages of the tournament and is still very good. And that's going to get banned away here by PSG instead. So I imagine Pentanet are just happy to trade, whatever side of Nautilus Leona that they don't want to take. So indeed, they will ban Jace away from Hanabi. I guess Maple has played it as well, but maybe not this tournament. So respecting the Renekton as a mid laner, especially with the Rumble already picked up. And it looks like PSG may indeed be flexing that one over. A lot of Renekton mid today, perhaps here, as Malphite is the current hover, but still plenty of choices here for PSG Talon.
I think that one would be a little bit odd. I feel like Malphite's the type of champion you pick later on when you know more flavors of the composition, but they're going to go with the Leona. It is viewed in isolation as the better end of the Leona and Nautilus matchup. Like you were saying, I'd still expect PGG to just be able to take that Nautilus away unless they want to come out with anything maybe a bit cheekier. We have seen things like the Galio in the past reviewed as a counter to Leona, but, wouldn't be surprised to see that Nautilus pick.
And of course, have to decide Chaz's pick as well. We'll have to blind here. Going to go back to Victor, it looks like here. And they're going to run down the clock. Just spend a little bit more time discussing their last pick here as Victor will be locked in for Pentanet. And I feel like it's just Nautilus here. Maybe there's other things to discuss. Always a good thing to use your time in the draft. There's never any rush, especially if you know what the pick is, right? You don't gain anything. Although maybe giving your opponents a little bit more time is arguably something you don't want to do. But these are all very minor things. And maybe Bard is actually the pick you wanted all along. Pentanet, do it for Rusty. He loves this champion. It's Braum instead.
Yeah, and this is a champion that a lot of people have talked about. Like, why are we not seeing this more? It has gotten buffed. I think it's gotten buffed a few times over the last, several patches.
So, that'll happen.
very decent champion. Obviously, it's not about fighting for 2v2 kills in lane, but scales incredibly well later into team fights. And on the side of PGG, I'm sorry, I think their composition is very straightforward. Again, does very well in front to back, does very good when the enemy team composition is coming into you, which you know Renekton and Leona are going to be looking to do. But I love the GP coming out, punishes immobile carries like Xayah and Victor.
Definitely a Hanabi special as well. The Jace was banned away, so he couldn't select that one, but does take the Gangplank into battle instead. So teams are set up pretty well here. Definitely feels like some of the early game aggression is going to be on the PSG Talon side. Pentanet going to try and play a little bit more solid, which they've been looking good on. I feel like, you know, the games we remember are the games where they throw themselves at the enemy, you know, for 30 minutes and there's like 50 kills or whatever. But Pentanet certainly have shown a lot of differences here. I think, again, Chaz has been super versatile. I think Praedyth and Decoy have had a pretty good tournament. I think BioPanther's actually had some really good games, maybe of the team's games. He's had the best performances in individually when he's been at his peak. No set this time, unfortunately, but nah, going to be just as good. Hopefully he can find the big plays. And again, for PSG Talon, Pentanet are out of the tournament. PSG Talon could be out of the tournament if things go very, very wrong. So this is a very important game for them to try and pick up here. And again, for all the three teams still remaining to try and sort out who are the final two teams to reach the knockout stage. Going to be a critical set of games all day long, which is always fun.
And, you know, I like that you're hitting a lot on Pentanet because, you know, we've seen Pentanet, their best game in this tournament, in my opinion, was their yesterday win against Cloud9. And it had a very similar composition in the sense that they outranged the side of PSG. They do very well at keeping PSG at arm's length. They have BioPanther once again on a champion that can find his way onto the backline and make a big play with that Gnar ultimate. And then you're just letting Chaz and Praedyth do what they do best, which again is just hit enemy frontline. I feel like there's more onus on PSG. There's a lot more, I'd say, not necessarily wombo combo, but right, it's about layering these ultimates down. You really need to go in as a unified unit and strike PGG at the same time and just kind of burst them out instantly.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting little tug of war, right, where Pentanet can outrange PSG, you know, a lot of cases with their basic abilities, but Gangplank plus Rumble ulti feels like horrible to play against, especially for Praedyth and Chaz. They're going to have such a bad time trying to get through that when ultis just drop on top of your carry's head from just about, you know, in one case globally, in the other case feels like 5 screens away. It's like one and
pretty much globally.
I don't know, it's 5 screens.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, Rumble definitely feels like that sometimes as emotes are running hot between the two teams. We'll see how it all works out as Pabu has Conqueror. That might be the first time that's happened this tournament. That's probably not true, but that is definitely not a common Udyr rune.
Yeah, well, you're right. We mostly see the phase rush, but you know, it's kind of interesting because as we get into like newer patches following MSI, obviously junglers are going to be falling out of phase rush, so maybe Pabu preparing for that one. But this obviously much more of a dueling rune. Maybe it shows that Pabu's going to go look to get aggressive and get into River's face. He doesn't necessarily have the like hard lane priorities that will be able to follow up like he'd want. I think BioPanther should be able to get prio, especially now that Hanabi went to leash for River. But yeah, let's see what level of aggression Pabu brings with this rune.
Praedyth flashing the Cloud9 emote. What a cheeky boy. All right, in the mid lane here, it's going to be Chaz up against Maple. We've seen this matchup actually already. May continue to see it as the tournament drags on. Victor into Renekton. Certainly feels like both champions feeling just fine here. Victor can get a little bit of an edge 1v1, but I feel like it's mostly about farming without getting yourself too low or getting yourself killed, especially on the Renekton side early on.
The thing about Renekton in this matchup to me is the fact that, especially once you start hitting level 3, you know, maybe level 5 as well, when you get even another point in your queue, it's like you can just push out the wave at any time, find a recall, and get back to lane full HP. It's not too big of a deal. It's really these first 3 levels where you got to be a bit more respectful. Again, Victor's a really strong level 1 trading pattern as well with his Q, so as long as he gets through that, I think Maple is going to be fine. He's going to get back to lane, he's going to push, and he's going to look to enable River in a lot of these River skirmishes.
And you know what? Perhaps for Praedyth, I may have spoke too soon. Could also be that he's cheering for Cloud9. Remember, they're potentially winning this game to help Cloud9 look for that tiebreaker here. So perhaps it's the other side of the coin after beating them down yesterday. As Decoy and Praedyth getting themselves pushed in nice and early. Feels like they're very comfy in that 2v2. BioPanther also getting things going, but Hanabi, we know he's going to be just fine on the Gangplank. Gangplank, I feel like really just doesn't bother at all until he falls, woefully behind on CS, which I just don't think this is a matchup where that's going to happen. And Pabu off to the races as well, but both junglers clearing nice and quickly. So it is quieter in the early stages of the game. Nice route, though, out of Praetor as Pabu might be looking down at bottom side, but does get spotted by River. But now the battle ensues. The harpoons, though, the flame spitter's out, the heat is there, and now River just going to get himself turned around. But what he's supposed to do, what a flash out of Pabu as Kylin is looking for it. And now the cleanse out of Praetor. He's going to try and run himself away. The door is nice for Decoy, but there's nothing left to try and save Praetor, so he's going to have to flash out of there. And Chaz, he's rotated all the way down. It's Decoy trying to get himself out safely, but it's first blood and perhaps second blood. No, not yet, but the flash from Chaz will be used.
And sad to see from the side of PGG, we see Pabu walk into the River. River is already there. He's doing a nice job of managing his heat to where he's able to get off an E, followed by his Flame Spitter to overheat. So he still has another charge of E as well. Was able to get a massive trade on the Pabu. And then Kaiwing, we know Kaiwing this tournament has been fearless, showing that once again to force out the flash from Pabu. And yeah, it was a big mismatch of kind of random nonsense happening where both teams and players are running in and out. And we said this coming out of draft, right? You can very clearly see that PSG have the stronger early skirmishing comp, especially once Maple was able to get involved as well.
Man, this feels bad. Pabu's like, I lost. And I like that they go for it, but perhaps a bit ambitious from Pentanet.
And they felt they could do it, right? Because Chaz is already here. He was pushing in the mid lane.
Right.
Again, PSG just have so much damage on that Rumble. They have so much tank stats and frontline coming out from Leona. Even this early on, Maple Rapstar, he's able to take out Pabu. Decoy going down, trying to cover up for Chaz and Praedith. And we know Xayah and Victor just don't bring that level of damage through their base damages early in the game.
All right, well, Maple with a nice counter room does get the second kill there. PSG Talon up over 1,000 gold, actually, at 5 minutes in, which feels pretty good. River now going to be looking to gank mid. Chaz does have his cleanse, but no flash, no hope. It looks like Gravity Field is wonderful, but Maple insta-flashes out before it ticks away, and now Pabu is going to try and chase a kill, but cannot chase this. River's just going to keep you out already, throws the harpoon away, and Kaiwing's even here as well.
And this is what I wanted to see last game. River, though, he's going to keep going. I think they're only going to be able to force PG out of their jungle, going to take away these Raptors. But this is what we were talking about last game with the Renekton, right? Is that you have set up there, you have high base damages there. You're pairing up with AP junglers. There's a lot of kill threat you have in that lane or looking around the map. And I like that PSG are a lot more of an early aggressive team where they'll use this. We even saw Cryan say that in an earlier interview today, that PSG are relentless.
Oh, Chaz, this is doomed. Kyling over the top. TP's coming in. GP ulters down, and he's just dead. This TP actually maybe even going to get Biopanther the kill, but not yet. In fact, he's looking to turn it back around onto River, but he's only a mini now. The rage isn't even close, and River's now going to start to turn it back around because the team is still there to the left. And Biopanther tries to save his teammate, but can't do much, unfortunately.
Mid lane turret dives are one of the most visually pleasing thing to see in League of Legends, especially for the fact that we don't get to see them often. I think just a really nice use of how they got their pressure from PSG, right? They push Pabu and Decoy out of the jungle. They take away the Raptors and they realize, hey, we have enough damage here. We have enough lockdown with Kaiwing as well to look for this play. They find it, and PSG continuing with finding picks. Hanabi doing a nice job as well, getting Prio and setting up some vision. And sadly for PGG, falling quite a bit behind.
All right, well, Biopanther in there, gets the stun, looks for the ulti, finds it, scoops him in. Getting a lot of traded damage back down here. Hanabi not going to have to flash it. All that boulder missing is unfortunate. Good wallop though, but now Biopanther has to not get traded back on with the barrels and does indeed avoid the follow-up damage. Pabu trying to stay active here, but it has been tough. Despite, Conqueror maybe looking for a little bit more 1v1 prowess, it is all River all the time in the early stages of the game. So Pabu going to have to trade this red buff for this Dragon as Praetor with no ulti. Oh, Kaiwing lines it up. Praetor's getting low, but here's Decoy to try and save the day, but Doggo is just waiting here. Kaiwing is just buying so much time. Dodges a Q from Braum. Praetor, though, is going to take out Kaiwing. Did have it up in the end, and now Decoy is getting in there, but Doggo's like, wait a second, you're a Braum. You can't do anything to me. There's the stun. Really nicely done for Decoy to not get traded on. In fact, Doggo losing the battle to the cannon creep that snuck in behind him. Gonna have to be careful despite being 2 levels ahead of Decoy. Gives him the thumbs up on the way out.
And, PSG, maybe feeling themselves a little bit too much in that situation. just over diving. They didn't expect Decoy to be there that fast. I think they expected they could burst out Praedith right away. But we're seeing the same punishment continue. PGG, though, looking for a play.
I like this. Again, trying to stay active here. Ooh, could be a 3v4 collapse here. It looks like Decoy going to find the first one, but he has no ulti. River is going to look to be stunned up. Good equalizer, actually, as Pabu needs to find the angle in, but Maple's already found the stun. The gravity field down, though, for Chaz to cover as Maple will get CC'd up, and River will finally be shut down. Good gold for Pentanet as Praedith collects it.
And this shows me something that BioPanther said in an interview yesterday after the games was they asked him, hey, what have you learned from MSI? And he said, the thing I've learned is that teams here, they do everything together. They use every part. Everything is as a 5-man unit. That's not something we really do in OS. He said that's something we're going to take away, and you can see that in that play, right? They're using their top pressure to rotate over, Decoy's moving as well from the bot side, and they're able to do that to find that pick on River.
Yeah, I like this Braum pick, 2% pick / ban rate, so I guess 4% total. So not a lot of Braum this tournament, but I think he's able to stay very active, which is something that, Leona and Nautilus can do. So I like that Decoy maybe just prefers the matchup a bit more, maybe...
He's good into every meta support at the tournament, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like Alistar, Leona, Nautilus, Braum neutralizes all of them in lane, and then you offer a lot more utility in team fights later on. It's a pick that I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more of, but it also goes to show, right, that there really isn't much engaged in any other role than support at this tournament. So I feel like that is probably a big thing gating Braum is like, hey, where do we get engaged in other roles?
Nice Braum multi perhaps, but yeah, definitely not quite the same. That's totally fair, as Decoy does land a Q on the Kaiwing, but he's busy clearing out this vision, so going to be A-OK. Already one dragon up for PSG, maybe looking for the second in 3 minutes time, but this dive looking attractive. River ready with the ulti, TP's in for PSG Talon. Kaiwing going to flash in there, that equalizer pretty filthy. Ulti out of Praedith going to keep alive for a little bit long, but everyone is burnt to a crisp as Pabu's just going to have to flash out of there.
And just PSG making the correct play, right? They already have the advantage in their bot lane. They have the wave pushing in. They bring down their strong members. And I like that Hanabi still just gets to chill. You knew when they drafted a Gangplank and that they had such an aggressive bot lane duo that they would be looking towards the bottom half of the map. It's almost a 4K gold lead for the side of PSG, but, I don't want to say it's insurmountable for PGG, but it is looking pretty grim.
Certainly is, especially with plays like this. I mean, Praedith CC'd so far down before he can even get out of the Rumble equalizer.
See, Pastry, so what do you call that, right? Because it's not exactly a wombo combo, but you are still layering all of your ultimates to win the fight.
I don't know, annoying? It's pretty frustrating. Riptail, who's going to get it? Oh, goodness, River. He's stolen the eye. He's running back towards Pabu. It's a tragedy in the jungle as Pabu burning low, not dead just yet. Hanabi, though, going to get in there, and Decoy's like, I'm Braum, remember? Can't do that. Does put up the Unbreakable and keep Hanabi from flash parlaying poor Pabu to death.
No.
Oh, the Bind equalizer missed, though. Pabu's like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. There's no way they're diving. Does walk a little bit further away from the wall just to make sure. As River going to pop the Mad Lions logo on the other side.
Oh, PSG showing the maximum amount of respect, wanting to take down Pabu and not let any enemies get away, as both supports are here.
Kaiwing, not yet. Does have ulti back up after that bottom lane play, but it's 4 sums up for Pentanet. Decoy's actually level 5. That is problematic, but I imagine Braum will be 6 in short order, but again, kind of speaks to the activity of this game. Both sports been pretty active. Obviously, Kaiwing, given that his lane is doing better, feeling a little bit better on that front. But Decoy's now level 6. We can breathe a sigh of relief as Doggo is looking to take down these plates on his own. Oh, goodness gracious. That is ambitious. Doggo cleanses out, gets himself ultied, though. And now Doggo just going to slap him to death. Doggo, I don't know what the plan was, buddy, but that ain't it. Oh, goodness. Praedith does get solo flat, but he doesn't die. I thought that was what I saw on my screen. Instead, it was the notification that Pabu had killed Doggo.
And, this has been one of the things about PSG, right, is that Doggo is a more aggressive ADC coming in than PSG's own AD Unified was. And PSG have said it in interviews. Doggo said it in an interview himself, like, hey, I'm very aggressive. One of my mistakes is that I go in too much sometimes. He actually highlighted that's why Tristana is a bit of a hard champion for him, is that sometimes he goes in a bit too recklessly with that rocket jump. And we saw it there. He saw the opportunity to find that 1v1 kill. Sadly, it wasn't a 1v1. PGG were there, but PSG still, they're in a commanding lead. This dragon's theirs. Pretty much any dragon is theirs. from here on forward. PGG, they're just looking to stall out the game, farm up their jungle camps, maybe get some defensive vision down, and buy time for that Xayah Victor combo to come online.
Yeah, don't let all the fun take away from the fact that PSG Talon are very far ahead in this game. Doggo even's going to revisit the scene of the crime here and look to take down these plates because he wants gold. That's respectable. Praetor does have Gale Force finished. Love to see the more aggressive choice out of these ADs. Xayah, I think, can choose between definitely Kraken Slayer or this. Well, we have seen a decent amount of Gale Force for a bit of additional playmaking and also escaping, which is something that's pretty important up against the Gangplank Rumble Menace when they ulti on you. But Doggo has backup this time, so does zone Praetor off the tower, and he's going to get that first tower gold, including all 5 plates. So PSG up now 5,000 gold at 13 minutes.
And now we'll probably see them do what RNG did last game, right? Is sending your duo lane mid, putting your Renekton in the side lane, starting to play around that pressure. But going back to, you mentioned the Gale Force coming out, we are having first items come out in general, as PSG are going to look to make a play mid.
Ooh, really nicely timed Herald here. Ooh, Chaz in trouble. Gonna be okay though. Maple dashing in a little too aggressively. In the 3v1, he does escape. Doesn't even have to flash either. The slice and dice good enough to get him out of that
breaker as well.
Particular issue. Oh, that's true. That item's pretty good.
Yep. I also like that he did it as well, right? Because he knows he doesn't need to commit. He has enough escape tools and dashes to just bait out the abilities from the side of PGG. He even got a cleanse out from Chaz. So overall, he committed very little and ended up getting, I'd say, quite a lot.
Yep, definitely. Given the investment, happy with the return out of Maple. Predator and Decoy trying to counter push here in mid. The Rift Herald is gone. Turret plates are off, unfortunately, for Pentanet, so no additional gold to be mined from the tower. Instead, they'll just back away, expecting the reinforcements that we can see are moving back out onto the Rift. I imagine Doggo has his first item finished now as well. We'll see what he wants to go for, but it has pretty much been Kraken Slayer the whole way through for Kai'Sa, and it is going to be Kraken Slayer once again. And Doggo sitting at the top of the table there with the gold, always feeling nice as PSG cruising now with this almost 6,000 gold lead.
And we know that PSG are just going to keep up the pressure, right? Again, they have that side lane pressure now with the Renekton. They have a few options with the ways they can use it. They can just send River down bot first, which is what it looks like he's going to do. You can try to burst out Biopanther and then transition that mid. And, since they're going to do it, PSG, let's see it happen.
Alrighty, Maple getting in there. Are they going to commit the Gangplank ulti? River actually doesn't even commit his ulti. They have more than enough. Rumble, pretty good champion with the Night Harvester there. River is going to slay Biopanther.
And that's why I'm saying, if you're on either side of the argument...
Oh, good ult from Praetor, but really nice accuracy there for Kaiwing as well. Doggo was 100% following that, whether it was correct or not. So it doesn't hit, which actually turns out to be good news for PSG Talon fans. But again, continuing that pressure, Doggo just getting in there. Oh, River,
God.
What a filthy ulti is Praetor. Does have to Gale Force off of it, but still a lot of damage done as a result.
And PGG are trying to answer on the opposite side of the map. I wonder if River is going to spot him out. Pacer, I'm just expecting more action, so I'm going to hold off on my Rumble point, but looks like Chaz should get away just fine. But Doggo
should know this is a bait, right? The way Praetor approaches you, in fact, has River behind him instead, calls his jungler back, and Doggo's going to give him the thumbs up as Pavu going to have to run away from that situation. Tough times for Udyr in this situation, right? You don't have your Mythic yet. You're running around like trying to get stuff done, but everyone's just shooting you, and they're so much further ahead than you. This is the kind of game where Udyr feels, kind of like old Udyr. We didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly, right? You run in, you stun them, and you don't do any damage. You're not tanky at all, so you yourself just get instantly bursted out. Looks like PGG know that PSG are going to make this play, but I don't think them having numbers here actually changes the fact that PSG can just force this dive if they want to.
What is this ult cooldown from River? It's already back up. Didn't you just use it a moment ago? Not even level 11 yet. What is going on? Hanavi going to take out the top lane outer tower. River just yeets it down mid onto Praetor, because why not? It's already back up. Yeah, right. Praetor's almost getting killed from, again, a screen and a half away.
And then this is just going to turn into the Rift Herald. And going back to the point I wanted to make is that, no matter where you stand on, is Rumble overrated, is Rumble OP, this argument, I feel like you should use for your case study looking at players like River. Again, River and Wei, I think, have been the two players who've shown that they are very adept on this champion. We're seeing it this game. He utilizes the ult quite well. He knows exactly his limits, and his team plays around him. And that feels like another massive part of Rumble in this game, is you need to know how to call for your team to put resources into you and enable you.
For sure, and I agree that River and Wei, certainly the Rumbles we've identified, they have looked best on that champion. River certainly having a game here, 4-1 and 2 right now on this one, as PSG Talon just looking at shove down mid, take down a little bit of more structures. Here also have the Dragon to run to in about 10 seconds. Going to be a very speedy Salt if they collect that. And River, again, just face checking. Now he's level 11, so he's got the rank 2 ulti. So it's even more troublesome. And Pentanet just trying to find an angle here, but it is tough. They are sticking together. I like this. You know, you have to play together as best you can. Unfortunately, Chaz with no TP is actually top side, so perhaps I spoke a bit too soon. But the Riftchild's going to get summoned. Biopanther's going to have to just run. Like, he's in a 1v3 that he can't win. River's actually already zooming on in, looking for the harpoon angle, but doesn't quite land it. And Pentanet, like, running between their base, trying to defend their inhibitor towers are under 20 minutes. It's a rough going right now.
It is tough. Oh, Equalizer comes out, but sadly not able to follow up. The turret doesn't get brought down. I'm still just waiting for PSG eventually to go take this dragon, but I feel like PSG know they could probably end this game before Seoul if they do play it, let's say, maybe not even perfectly, but like as aggressively as they have been doing. So it seems like trying to get as much gold on the map they can before going for this Drake. They're going to turn over to this one now. And also, again, another check-in on items. We actually have Immortal Shield Bow finally coming out for Hanabi. Maple also on his way to his second item, and Maple's a player we haven't talked about much this game because, again, he's been like facilitating a lot of the aggression and the plays coming out, but he hasn't really been making those same pop-off plays like the equalizers that have been dropping. But Maple definitely having a phenomenal game this time around as well.
Yeah, again, this mid-jungle duo from PSG Talon, very potent as we've seen all tournament long. And it's kind of funny that is Renekton's role these days, right? He's more of a facilitator, has some CC, so can kind of not engage necessarily, but if he gets on top of a target, he's very disruptive. He can maybe peel if someone dives in a little too recklessly and you're standing next to your AD. You know, pretty safe. Like, laning, doesn't really dominate people 1v1, I think especially in a lane like mid, right, where you're not going to get nearly as many opportunities and it's a shorter lane anyway. So Renekton is kind of a funny champion, right? As Kaiwing, oh, this is so rude. Does get it there. Stun is down, but Clem's already used, and here comes Dogger. This time, it's the correct choice to Killer Instinct in as Kaiwing gifts his AD a kill on a silver platter.
Kaiwing once again finding the play, being a little sneaky, being a little cheeky, but still gets it done onto Chaz. They already have vision set up in this quadrant of the jungle. They're going to start forcing this down for top tier 2 turret, and if anyone from PGG rotates like they have been, River is ready to catch them out.
Now just look at the lack of vision here for Pentanet here. I mean, they're going to go on this tower. Kaiwing is like playing goalie between the two lanes, right? So no one can enter and stop this push. I don't think they can stop it anyway, to be perfectly honest, but definitely not getting through Kaiwing there as Pabu trying to take the enemy camps. Oh, barrel value is almost there, but Pabu going to go ahead and, oh, the blue resets, but he gets the Grump. It's all worth it in the end. In fact, he's still going for it, because you know what? Not a lot else to do right now as Doggo once again looking threatening here in the mid lane, and with no towers taken just yet, with the gold lead as massive as it is, it's hard enough to play this game with the disadvantage you have, but when you don't even have room to like move past the outer towers to get waves pushed in and like maybe walk into the river to contest an objective, these are the toughest kind of games to play, not just because you're so far behind, but on goal, but you're so far behind on, you know, map control as well.
I also feel like another added layer of awkwardness for the side of PGG is that there's two ways you typically play out from behind. If your comp doesn't win out in scaling, you typically just try to flip the game over and over again, look for a bunch of Hail Marys and try to brute force your way back in by enemy mistakes. Or if you do scale better is when typically it's like, hey, set up a defensive vision line, farm our camps, try to buy as much time as possible. And since PGG do fall on that side of the coin, but at the same time, they are monstrously behind, right? And it's about to be Seoul for PSG. I feel like there's no winning solution for them. You can't really force because of your comp, but waiting to outscale,
Yep, gonna have to force, right? I mean, Deco getting in there, puts up the Unbreakable, but Kaiwing just running interference here as Maple on the Biopanther strike breaks in. Pabu's actually maybe found one. Hanabi is a good target to get, but Chad's gonna get blown to pieces by Doggo as River actually collects kill with the ulti. And now in a 5v4, I mean, Pentanet have to go for it, right? You can't blame them, but PSG just peel nicely, and it looked like somebody from their side was getting picked, but it was indeed the other way around.
Well, and it just turned out right. We saw Pabu get on top of them, but the side of Pentanet just doesn't do any damage. And we saw even basic abilities just chunk out PGG so much.
Oh goodness, this is a tough contest, but again, you have to go for it here. Deco going to be the target. Rooted up there, the Unbreakable is good. Biopanther with a great ulti, finds a 3-man stun. After the ulti gets a shutdown onto River and Pentanet. That is exactly what they needed. The jungler is dead, so the Baron threat is gone. They don't get as many kills as they may have liked, but hey, they got some, and we thought they were getting nothing.
That's the thing, right? Still a 9K gold lead, but walking into that, the expectation was just, oh, PGG walk in, some auto attacks come out, they get instantly deleted, but really nice play coming out from BioPanther especially. And it's where BioPanther's look best, right? He's looked really good on a lot of these playmaking top laners, had that great set game. He's able to find his way onto key champions from the enemy and set up for Pentanet to find ways into the game. Now you're just going to need to do that approximately like 5 to 10 more times, and then we'll be in a place where Pentanet are recreating the success from yesterday.
Yeah, it's feeling like going to be a double-digit set of plays that's going to be required, but BioPanther making it look good once again, as we'll find out in the new Axe Effect replay.
And Kaiwing is the one to start this off, but they're throwing everything on a decoy, so absorbs some damage. Maple already goes in, and this is nice for the side of Pentanet to where they're able to just turn... Oh, wait, this is actually the original one. This is the one where they end up losing, where Pabu ended up doing nothing.
No, there's more.
Wait, here's the one we were talking about. So now we come in, and this is where, again, it all looked doom. You look at Maple, he's on the flank.
Oh, goodness, we'll have to hold that thought, because, again, River is getting himself picked off here. Into stasis he goes. That's very nice here. Pradith going to go in there as Doggo gives in onto Chaz, as Kaiwing is going to set it all up, and River got away with one there, but Pradith getting in there with a Gale Force, but Doggo, he's found himself a triple kill. That's an ace as the emotes fly wild, and PSG are just going to run down mid because this game is over.
Yeah, death timers actually might be long enough to where PGG can stop.
They're going to try.
Still, nice equalizer coming out from River. Doggo was in position to capitalize off of all of that, and it seems like, yeah, PSG realized the members of PGG will be up in time. Maybe they would be able to force an inhibitor had they all stayed there. Looks like Hanabi's still going to try, but they're going to turn this into a triple objective take structures down mid, take Infernal Dragon and Baron all at the same time.
Now, it doesn't make what I said untrue. It just may not be over right now, as PSG
That's
Talon,
true.
like you mentioned, the three-pronged attack, a very rare sight here on Summoner's Rift, but pretty nice to collect an inhibitor and both big objectives. Oh, okay, it didn't get the inhibitor, never mind. Just the mid-inhibitor tower for Hanabi. Didn't quite have enough bullets left in the pistol. As Pentanet back out on the map again. Game is still pretty short. We're under 25 minutes here with the Baron Empowered Recalls. They're going to get them out. Pentanet again have to scoop out whatever vision they can find. As River looked again like kind of in a silly spot here, but he knew what was going on.
Yeah, the big thing is, right, he does actually have the stasis this time to survive it. And we see Doggo go in, layers massive damage, and that equalizer was also really good, right? It hit like 4 members, forcing them out, forcing them towards Doggo. He's able to pick up that triple kill in the end. We're going to see that Hanabi picks up the last kill as well with the Flash Wolves logo coming out clean. And yeah, that was the damage.
Oh my goodness, Hanabi. Pabu, he ordered the barrel. He needed to or he was going to get killed, but that follow-up parlay almost did enough. Oh my goodness, Kaiwing. Didn't get it, but it looked good for a second there as Pradith is in no man's land. Pabu is dead, and Pradith's probably going to follow. But he's in the right bush to try and get away here. Deco, though, not so lucky as Doggo now unstoppable. This is the time where he can get overly aggressive on Kaiser, and Hanabi is literally just throwing Qs. Great ult there for Pradith, but there's the ulti, and it just feels so bad, man, as Hanabi gonna go on a killing spree as Maple gives him the Stride Breaker assist. Alrighty, PSG Talon still plugging through the top side here. As they are going to look to take down even more. They're going to get this inhib in top side. Don't even have the mid one that they've opened up here, but don't need it, I suppose. And PSG Talon going to look to keep moving things on here. Game looking close to over here. Doggo going to move back in once again, but is it a mistake? Doggo a little too far forward, my mans. 1,000 gold shot down for Chaz is nice, but River's equalizer, very aptly named ultimate in that situation. As the towers are getting low. PSG can't end the game just yet, but they are really trying, Lyric.
Yeah, and I definitely think, honestly, they could still probably look for an engage. They have the damage. Oh, BioPanther!
BioPanther looking to go in here. Maple trying to dance around them. Gets a kill there onto Chaz. And the rest of the team is going to follow through. It's a kill for River once again as Maple, low but not dead, he's just baiting the rest of the team in as that Nexus looking awfully dead as PSG Talon going to look to secure themselves their place in the knockout stage, and they're just going to pad the stats before they get there because why not? You've earned it. Take a victory lap, PSG Talon. Because, you know what, Pabu? He's doing what he can. Unfortunately, what he has, not enough, Lyric.
Just end the game, guys. You can do it. They're, like you're saying, Pastry, they're just trying to pad those KDs. Another equalizer somehow comes out, like you're saying, that cooldown being so low. But, you know, there were some hype plays coming out from some members of PGG that game, but obviously a very one-sided affair for the side of PSG Talon.
Yep, got ahead early and did not really fall behind as it turned out. Again, Panther did what they could do in that situation, was very tough. But PSG Talon, that Rumble especially, just looking like something that is risky to give River. Let's put it that way. Not something that you want to give over lightly, because again, he has performed so well on that champion time and time again.
And the thing is, this team as a whole, just in the early game, PSG is such a scary team, and the fact that you can transition an early game lead and snowball it so handedly out of control into a win is a scary thing for any team they go up against.
Certainly is, as we are going to take a look now at Mercedes-Benz Drive to Victory, presented by Mercedes-Benz. PSG's mid lane fight before that Baron, which looked real good, Lyric. In fact, a lot of their fights look real good, but this one was extra nice.
Yeah, and this was the one where we thought, oh my god, River getting caught out again. Again, they do have a bit of a... They do get a little bit. It doesn't really matter if he falls down, but the stasis comes out. Doggo jumps in. The equalizer onto 4 people forces some flashes. And this is where Doggo just keeps popping off and going crazy. And there's that Hanabi barrel that you highlighted to just finish everything off. And, you know, all the members on the side of PSG did their job. I definitely think Kaiwing gets a special shout out for setting up all that aggression early, but it was a team effort.
For sure. I think Doggo, like, just calibrating his ultimate in the earlier stages, right? Looking a little too far forward, maybe thinking he was further ahead than he was, but certainly made it sing in the later stages of that game. Now, as we step away, it is time for a Spotify song break. So prepare your cat jams for the MSI anthem. Start